Train the quality, not the movement. Sport-specific training has turned into a train wreck, largely in part to the functional fitness community that has tried to replicate sporting movements in a weight room. I'm currently rereading a book called Special Strength Training for Coaches. It is by an author called Yuri Verkhoshansky. If you do not know who he is, I highly recommend learning who he is. He was super instrumental in training of all athletes, really. Many modern day fitness influencers out there have jumped onto the hybrid training / training for sports bandwagon. I find that to be very amusing because most of them do not currently play a sport. And while the dorks that have their clients jumping off of Bosu balls and replicating sport movements with, suspended bands and stuff like that, I would also make the argument that people on the extreme other side of anti-specificity entirely, that's lacking nuance. I'll be the first to tell you that building up movements in the weight room is a more efficient way to go about your training than trying to replicate sport movements. But there is a very distinct caveat. Getting married to certain variations and thinking that you'll be able to progress said variations to infinity is where a lot of advanced athletes get strength training wrong. The idea of dynamic correspondence and transfer of training can be looked at in a number of different ways. I'll be the first to admit, building a big back squat, building a big clean, building a big press, this kind of thing, those are great ways to go about it. But my question to you is, are you able to progress those times infinity? Okay. And then once you maintain the strength that you built in those, are you satisfied with just staying on those same variations of those lists forever? Special exercises in the sense of Verkhoshansky does not mean tying a band to your waist and replicating a tackle, okay? What it means is analyzing the qualities of your sport by having a thorough understanding of what the sport entails. You as an athlete, or you as a coach especially, should thoroughly understand the unique needs of the sport that it is you're training for, or the client that plays the sport, okay? So is it a contact sport? Is it a non-contact sport? What are the aerobic demands of the sport? So on and so forth. This allows us to then take exercises and create what we call special strength exercises. Let me give you some examples of what I mean by this in my own training. Banded power cleans. Banded pin Hatfield squats. Reverse banded incline bench press. So on and so forth. These are movements that might look wacky, they might look silly, but as somebody that plays the sport of rugby and understands the demands of the sport of rugby, I can tell you one thing. They do transfer over to the sport of rugby, okay? They don't transfer over because they make you better at tackling or they make you better at running. They transfer over because they build the quality that is needed for the situations that arise in the sport of rugby.
Good run.
Now again, let's tie in the camp of people, we'll call it the KISS camp, the keep it simple, stupid. Just squat, bench, deadlift, clean, that's it. No accommodating resistance, no different heights, no different tempos, do it year round. That's all you got to do, play the sport, call it a day. Okay, yeah, sounds good on paper until what? The lifts stop going up. You stop progressing in them. And I would argue that any coach or athlete should always want to do better. They should always want to progress, okay? Maintaining has its place. In season, this kind of thing, when you're beat up, you're injured. But there are blocks of time where we want to progress, and not everybody out there is capable of 400, 500, 600, 700 pound back squat, 600, 700, 800, 900 pound deadlift, 400 pound clean, so on and so forth. In fact, most people are not. Okay, I'm just going to be real with you. Most people are never going to hit those numbers, and it's a complete waste of time to pursue those variations. A better way to spend your time is to analyze the needs of your sport, okay? Not the joint angles and the we're going to recreate, movements and stuff like that happen on the field or the court or whatever, but we're going to take exercises that we can progress in, milk them for all they're worth, that do have a dynamic correspondence to the qualities of the sport that it is you're playing. Then we can cycle through those movements in an appropriate fashion, okay? And who knows, they might transfer over to those straight weight variations anyways, right? Getting hung up on the idea that you have to do any movement as an athlete, it's just not very smart, right? I will continue to beat this horse to death. Get strong in the big compound movement patterns, right? You know it, and I know it. The stronger you are, the better off you're going to be, okay? That's why I feel strength standards are so important, right? And we can break that down by position. We can break that down by sport, right? Such and such times body weight squat, such and such body weight, hinge movement, clean, press, all this, that, and the other, right? That's not saying that that's going to make you better at the sport anyways, because we know sport is unique in that regard. There's people that don't train that are going to be better than you, period. But it's definitely going to give you a fighting chance to compete. That goes without saying. Once we've gotten to those levels, though, this is the crowd of people I'm talking about, okay? Do what you got to do, right, to build the qualities that you need for the sport. Don't waste your time and spin your wheels and get hung up on certain movements, certain rep ranges, certain types of resistance, all this kind of stuff. Experiment, right? Come up with your own special strength exercises, just like what Yuri Verkhoshansky would do for his athletes. And I guarantee you, you're going to be a lot better off mentally. You're going to be a lot healthier because you're not going to be missing maxes and, potentially injuring yourself on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And I think it is going to have that transfer to sport. Even for you wieners out there that say that's not a real thing, I still play the sport, okay? I'm 35 years old and I'm still playing full contact rugby, okay? I've been playing contact sports for over 20 years, right? So it's not something that I'm saying because I research or I watched a movie or I listened to another YouTuber. I'm saying it from direct experience. So to wrap things up, guys, the functional fitness crowd out there that's trying to recreate sport movements in the weight room, we're missing the mark on that. Parents, if you're watching this of high school athletes, don't fall for the BS. It looks cool. It seems like in theory it would work. It doesn't work, okay? In the opposite end of the spectrum, again, I will concede that you are 85, 90-ish% of the way there. Just get as strong as possible. And if you're one of those people that can just get stupid strong and stupid powerful with traditional variations of things, just do it and play the sport. But if you're like the rest of us out there that have spun your wheels, gotten hurt in the pursuit of, bigger whatever movements and this kind of thing, give the special strength exercises a try. Come up with your own. You know the sport you play better than I do, right? Analyze the unique needs of your sport and train the qualities. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.